welcome everyone for another episode of Mother Tales. I'm here this time with the Hulunn. She's a dear friend of mine, and yes, she's here to tell part of her story as mother, as woman. And welcome, Hulunn.
Thank you. Thanks, Laura. Good to be here.
Shall we start with you introducing yourself? I usually let people introducing themselves because I feel like it's more authentic. So anything you want to share with us about you, your story, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sometimes I feel like I'm trapped in a 19-year-old's body, and I have to remember that I have children and that I've come so far down this line of I remember when you were younger and you looked at people and you thought like, wow, they're old, they must have had a whole lifetime of stories, and then all of a sudden, like, we are the ones with the lifetime of stories. It's beautiful because everyone's got stories. Everyone's got a story to tell. So who I am, I'm definitely, I was born into this world, not fitting into it, feeling like, what am I supposed to do here? What is I can't just be here to make babies, to get married, to work and to come back again. Because I've always believed in reincarnation. You don't have to tell me whether it exists or not. I've always believed it. I feel it in my bones. I can feel it when I hear music or when I feel things. I know that I've experienced this before. So I always knew, like, I'm not here just to reproduce. And I always thought that I wouldn't have children, actually, because I felt it would take me off my path. Because I've seen other people with children. You become completely engulfed in your children. They become your center. And I wasn't ready for that because I'm still seeking. How can I seek for someone else when I'm still seeking for me? So, I was born into a mixed race family. And that was also confirming that I'm supposed to be in many worlds, not just one world, not just one four corners of a world. So even when I was very young, I said to my mom, I'm so tired. I don't want to come back here. It's just too painful. And she felt a bit weird. I remember telling her, if ever I die, I want you to take me and put me on a wooden slate, on a wooden board, and push me into the water, and you need to shoot arrows onto it. And she's like, Alan, I don't think we'll be allowed to do that. And it just felt, I was pulling in Vikings, I was pulling in Buddhism, and I was just feeling my way into this world. And then I had children. It wasn't with someone I was in love with. It wasn't with someone that I knew very well, but it was with someone that I think we had a contract because we had a child. 3 years later, we had another child, and we've never lived together. We've never really been together. And if I think about him now, he's got absolutely like 2% in their lives because that was our contract. We don't have to know each other. You don't have to be a father. You don't have to be part of it, but you have to be part of making them. So they both have the same father. So that's okay. So I've always been a seeker. I've traveled in different places. I've looked for answers for my soul, for inside my heart. And I've realized that life doesn't just begin from when we're born and when we die. It's not just this part. For me, there's life before we're born and there's life after we're born, which gives me more hope or gives me more insight into the bigger aspect of the world. Not just the world we see, but the world we don't see. So I've studied quite a bit of Buddhism and Eastern philosophy. And it's just, I think that's given me a bigger view of life inside also. So that's who I am. And I'm very big into the environment. Like, that's my thing. I'm very aware of the environment, and I'm very aware of the link between our own hearts and the environment we're in, that the breakdown of the environment is the breakdown of the human heart.
Yeah. Do you want to share with us more about this? Because I think am I right to say that this play a really huge position in your life. I mean, it's very important for you, you know, the environment and becoming aware of what's happening around us with the environment. Oh, and actually what we do for the environment, it's many times against our environment.
Yes. I think we sit into this comfort zone, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, now you got to stop using single-use plastic. Oh, but it's so difficult because every time I go to the shop, everything's covered in plastic. So at some point, humanity has to switch on the self-willpower that even though the whole world's collecting plastic, I've got to stop. And I think that's where our difficulty comes in, making changes when no one's looking, when it's just, I know I have to do this because it's my responsibility. And it's difficult because plastic's in your face and, you know, but things are getting so intense at the moment. They're finding microplastics in the lungs of people and inside, but still, I don't think that impact really hits us. I don't think we really realize. It feels a bit far away. It doesn't feel like it's on our front door until the floods come through our house or until our car gets taken away with water, or then I think we'll feel it. So we've got to, humans are tactile. We've got to feel things with our hearts and with our hands for it to really hit home. So I think we make changes when things are hard, when we have a huge catastrophe to deal with in the family or then I think we make changes because then it wakes us up. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to solve the climate crisis because we're not solving our own hearts. We're still selfish, greedy, and this is talking about majority, not the minority, and that's who I want to speak about as well.
Yeah.
But the majority of people are just, we're blindly walking around consuming and blaming others, and you know, everything is like competing, and I think that's what we're doing, and that's why our environment's broken, because we're not worried about the man next to us on a major scale. Yeah, that's the problem I think that we're facing. Our breakdown is the breakdown of our own hearts.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this. I think it's super important, something that not many of us are aware of, I believe, at least. And if go ahead.
I think if you had to speak to the normal person, just meet anyone on the street and say, if today you found out that the world's going to end because of our actions, you know, if this huge thing, a meteor is coming in the next 45 minutes or 2 days, what will you do? Would you change things? Would you go back if you had another chance and change the way you do things?
Yeah.
Maybe then we would, you know, but otherwise it's like, you know, it's, I don't know. And
yeah, it's too difficult or
it's too complicated. We're too busy with our lives, you know, life is too busy for me to worry about. You know, I spoke to about a woman about someone was doing fundraising, right, for Greenpeace. So I work for Greenpeace. I'm the volunteer coordinator. So I'm the bridge between the staff and the campaigns running and the volunteers, which I absolutely love. And so I heard fundraising phoned this woman and said, she's in Johannesburg, she's inland. And they said to her, so we're doing campaigns for the oceans. We're doing a campaign against plastic in the oceans. Would you like to contribute? And she said, but I don't even live by the ocean. And that's how we see things. It's not my problem because I don't even live there. The meantime, this globe that we live on, social media has shown us that the world is so small yet so big. And this globe we live on, like this is it. We can circle it any time we want to, but it affects all of us. You can't say that one thing doesn't affect someone on the other side of the world. We are all affected by everything happening right now. We are all going through the same emotions at different levels and stages, but we are all feeling things. So when we speak to people, when we communicate, that's only when we realize, oh my God, this person's also going through this. It's not just me.
Yeah.
So yeah, our world is actually very small. It's as big as the size of our heart. That's it. That's the size of our world.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you actually, how did you apply like what you believe, your belief about how you see the world, how you see our environment with your life?
That's amazing because, that is brilliant. That is so spot on. Because since COVID, right, I've been going online, and all of a sudden I deleted all the people that I didn't blend with anymore. They were just occupying space. It wasn't about how many friends, like I don't need so many friends. And I started adding women that are running online workshops, and they're doing and all of a sudden that's what became my Facebook social media group. And that's when I realized that when you want to start a business, in the past, you start a business because you've got money and you've got land, whatever, and people. But nowadays, it's become more personal. And when you start a business, you first integrate that into your own life, and then you run the business. It's no more about just a business on the outside. It's now a business on the inside and the outside. So I think that's what's blocking me with starting my workshop, because I still buy things with plastic. Fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I still buy things. There's so much plastic. I still throw away plastic. I don't collect it. I still make boo-boos. I still can't integrate it 100%. And I don't know if we ever will. And I don't know if we have to, because I don't think we can get it right on every scale. I don't think we can make our own household products and don't buy any plastic. I don't think so, because it's everywhere. It's suffocating us. But for me, how do I integrate that into my own life I think it's a mindset for me. It has to first be a mindset before it's a physical thing. So before I do something, I have to have thought it. So even though I'm still collecting that plastic and I'm still, not so great with those things, but my heart is there. My heart knows I've got to integrate an understanding of it so that I can make conscious decisions, not 100% non-plastic decisions, but conscious decisions. So today I go to the shop and I say, right, I know that this has got plastic. Do I have to have it? So I think about where we have to be is more conscious, more aware, more awakened, rather than, okay, no more plastic, no more this, not so robotic, but more aware, awakened. That's where I'm aiming for. That's the only way I can do it. And that's what I want to share on my workshop. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to slowly get there. Eliminate this. When you're trying to be a vegetarian, some people can just stop straight away. No problem. Never look at meat again. Some people need, like, on Mondays, meat-free Mondays, on Tuesdays, So we all do things differently. Me, I don't need to again. I just stop. So, but yeah, slowly awareness. I think that's what we're lacking in our world. More awareness, more raising of our vibrations compared to, but I don't think it will ever happen, because we can't have a mass awakening. That's not just how we work. We can't have everyone looking like Johnny Depp. It just doesn't work like that. Like, there's got to be like John Travolta's and the Johnny Depps.
Yeah, we are unique. So everyone has his own experience, in their awakening.
Their own karma, yes, their own levels to get there. And I think in yoga, they speak about that. They say that yoga, I think so, when God breathed, there were certain things put in place. So the ones closer, are less dense. And as you go further out, it's more higher vibration, something like that.
It's beautiful what you're sharing. It's like, it feels like honey for me. Even the sound of your voice, it's amazing. It's so mothering. It's perfect for this channel. My question is, how can you teach this to children? What's your experience? I don't know if you talk about this with your children. How do you approach this conversation about the environment, about even, about personal journey with your children, about looking at yourself, loving yourself, connecting with your heart? How do you talk about these things with children?
Well, it actually links with something that you shared a while ago. You shared a link to something called something around storytelling. And I've listened to that over and over, because when I heard that, I was like, this is the link I've been looking for without knowing I'm looking for it. Because there's something that we tell ourselves that says, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how many plastic bags you save or don't use, you're still not going to get it right. It's still not going to be enough. So that's the story that we might tell ourselves. But now that has to change. So that's how I started off. In my workshop, I speak about what is the story you tell ourselves. And let's look at that story, and let's adjust that story, and then let's tell a new story, and let's look at a vision of it. Let's imagine this world that we want, because right now the world that we want might seem okay. You know, perhaps like when I was a youngster, I never knew the purpose of trees. I wish I did. I would have maybe valued them more. I always used to look at trees and I'd see bodies and shapes, but I never knew, why is this tree here? So I think if we understand what we're telling ourselves and what we're conditioning ourselves, even society, it's putting so much fear into us. Like, some of us don't want to know the 100th flood that's just happened, and the heat wave we're going through, and all these I want to know more about what can we do, and what beauty lies beyond all this suffering and pain and the bad things. I want to know, I want to imagine this future, and I want to align myself with it and see how can I move with it instead of moving against. Because right now, just a secret between me and you, I don't think society wants us to grow and evolve. The society that's been created by whatever the powers that be, I don't think society wants us to have solar panels and loads of trees, because we would have already had that. So now we get to that minority of people. The minority of people in this world believe in awakening and creating something beautiful, and knowing that we have the power without the powers that be, these old whatever sitting up there controlling with the money. So that's what I'm focusing on, this minority of people. That's me and you and a handful of people that know that if we looked at a world where we knew that we can have solar panel, the sun, I've never seen the sun go out. You'll never lose a battery on the sun. We've got sun, we've got wind energy, we've got water energy. So I think the only thing blocking us is our mindset created by society. That's where we can shift the narrative.
How was your journey until now, until what you are sharing this with us? Where did you start, basically?
Yeah. I think these things wait for us to be ready, and it's been there all the time. It's just, as soon as you walk around this corner 100 times, but on that day when you walked around the corner, there was your message, because you were ready, and it was just waiting for you. Like, come on, dude, I'll wait for you the whole year if I have to. When you're ready, like, knock on my door. So I think I grew up not really, I didn't finish school. I did matric at the age of 30, night class. It was torture, because there's no mom to make you a sandwich when you want to eat. You, the mom, you've got to go to work, you've got to come home, look after the kids. I even moved into the cottage so I could study by myself. I started smoking cigarettes because it gave me like 5 minutes to just be quiet, just to function. But so I used to do any kind of work, and mostly administrative work, and it was killing me. It wasn't my calling at all. And for many years I did that. And one day a friend invited me to work for his company, and it was just all males, all engineers. And I said, I can't, I don't have a car. I've got a 2-year-old baby and a 5-year-old. Like, I had so many can'ts. And he said to me, Hulunn, this position is like 40 minutes away from our home. It's far. In Johannesburg, that's far. He said to me, this position is open. If you want it, make it happen. And I was like, you know what? Like, I need this. And within a month, I found a car. I got my baby into a creche, and it just lined up for me. And I was only with them for about a year or two, and that's where it happened. They were a environmental company. We were the solutions to the problem of landfill. So we were creating like solutions like an anaerobic digestion plant. So what that is like the stomach of a cow. It's called. So if you look at a cow, right, it's got different chambers in the stomach. And when it eats, it doesn't swallow all that food, but it creates like heat in there. Lots of heat is generated in there, and it's like it's closed up. And this heat generates methane. So that's what an AD plant does. So you collect food waste, anything with calorific value, food waste, leftover nut seeds, and you put them together and you generate enough heat, and you let an outlet come out, and it creates electricity. So you can create people's food waste and generate electricity to run a little city or something. So we were doing these kind of pilot plants. And then one day someone said to me, look, carbon tax is coming to South Africa, and I want to put together a group of carbon auditors, which means that you'll go around to different companies and you'll do their calculations. And this is very numbery. I'm not into numbers. And I did the training. I bought the franchise. For about a year, I was sitting with all these men. And the one day I had to do like a 2-hour exam on mathematics and lead. And I stood up and I said, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. I don't know what I'm doing here. I can't do this. This is not for me. And that day I went home and I said, okay, I've learned that. I'm now going to change it. I'm going to go to schools and I'm going to talk to the youth about all this that's happening, but what they can do about it. When they can go home right now and what they can do in their immediate future, in their immediate moment. And that's when I changed things. And then it just came to me. I'd meet this person, I'd do this training. And it just came together like that. And I realized, wow, at the age of 45 then, this is what I want to do. Like this just, it gives me those good feels. You know, it's not because I want to do it because I'm good at it or I'm born with the skill. No, none of that. I still feel inadequate, but it just gives me that feeling that I know why I'm here. I have to be of service. I have to. I don't have a choice. Yeah. So that's how I got into it.
Wow. You say being at service. You just say being at service. Yeah, what does it mean for you, you know, even as mother? What is it, mothering your children or mothering your life, you know, being at service for you, or is it something else? Like what does it mean? Because I'm asking this, I've also talked about this in previous interview, because sometimes this, you know, mothering energy, we believe it's mothering energy, being a mother or be at service sometimes means that we need to give everything about ourselves until, you know, we consume every little piece of us. But yeah, what does it mean for you, being at service? Maybe for you it means something else.
Yeah, you speak about boundaries and that, you know, giving of yourself, like being of service, you naturally give of yourself. It definitely is that. Yeah, I've got a little story to share. You know, growing up with my mom, she's a lovely mom, but I think she was also learning her way. You know, she didn't know all the answers. And if I look back and remember, I could go, oh yeah, you did it. But I can see now she was learning. She was trying to find her way in this world of being a mother at the age of 20 to me. And I remember when I was going to give birth to my first child. So over the years, I'm jumping now. There were times when I had to be the mother for my mother. And that was very difficult for me because I needed her, but I had to be the mother. And I think that's when my lesson started of being in service for others. That's when life showed me, like from a young age, that these are the things you need to learn, because one day it's going to complete you. So I had to be mother often for my mom. But then when I was going to give birth, I had my midwife, and we were going to do it in a birthing unit, a water birth. And my cousin was going to be there, and the father of the child. And I think I was a bit pulling away from my mom because I felt like, I think I looked down on her, to be very honest, and I feel quite embarrassed about that. But I think I had that feeling like, you know what, I said, Mom, I'm sorry, you can't be there because I've got my cousin and I've got the father. And she said, no problem, she'll be in the room next door, because I had my own unit. Oh my goodness. And I remember squeezing and pushing and swearing like anything and apologizing. Fuck, sorry, Zoli, sorry. And I was screaming like an Amazon woman. I had such a sore throat the next day, and I was pushing, and all of a sudden I got like this overwhelming feeling. I said, oh my God, I just need my mother. I just felt like I just needed my mom. Oh, let me just, yeah.
Yeah,
So
let's take a breath. Thank you for sharing this and be vulnerable.
whoa. Sure. I remember that feeling. I'm so glad she was next door, though. I really was. Okay. Yeah, I'm ready. So my mom and I both have this affinity with men with dark hair and Chinese. We both have this affinity with Chinese men, and I remember squeezing, and I called my mom and I said, please come, just be there with me. And as I was pressing the baby out, she shouted, Hulunn, she's got black hair. And because my natural color is much lighter. I was definitely born with the wrong hair color, and just her saying that, like, I remember we had this connection because we both both have this affinity with, I think, Middle Eastern and Latino, I don't know. And since then I realized that I can push my mom away because I felt, I had to be the mom. But at some point, it's true. They say when you have your own child, you realize what it is to be a parent. You don't know before, you don't know what you don't know. But that really connected me to my mom. Yeah, because I know she's been through that. And so you asked me, what is it to be in service? Like I say, I don't think you can fake it. Maybe you can fake it till you make it, because you get this feeling like, oh, I've got some community hours. I really have to do this. And you start doing it and it's a job. But then you start feeling like, it actually makes me feel better. I feel like a better human. So I think you can fake until you make it, being in service. And for those that don't have to fake it, it's something that it's a natural thing. You don't force it. It's just there. And maybe it's there in varying degrees. Some people feel it's more strongly. Like me, I know I am selfish. I know I am in service to others, but I know I have certain things where I'm like, no, I'm not going to bend on this, not a chance. So, yeah.
Maybe you have a healthy boundaries rather than you are selfish.
I hope so. I hope that's what it is.
Yeah. And it's coming back to what you said at the beginning, connecting with your heart and do things that really makes you feel you are connected with yourself, rather than you have to do it, or wherever it is that it's from your mind, and it doesn't come from your heart. I think yes, it's feeling something inside you and just offering that part of you and do it with your heart rather than with something else.
Yes. I think I think it's there when, even if no one's looking, and you still have that up in that moment, something happens and you react to. I remember once being in a tavern, in Johannesburg, quite a hardcore tavern, and I was sitting with my friend and a young boy. I remember he walked in, so I remember looking at him and carry on looking at my friend. And he went to the man behind the bar and he must have asked for money or something, because the man grabbed, I don't know what the stick is in South Africa. It's quite that thick. And he goes thin, 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 and it's long. And when you hit it, it whoops. Maybe it's a whoop.
Yeah.
It goes like, so as he spoke to this boy, he pulled out something and he wanted to hit him. And I just jumped up in front of this child and I said, I just stopped him. And my friend pulled me away. And my friend is African. He's black. Yeah, I'm African, but I don't know. My friend said to me, don't ever do that again. He'll kill you. He doesn't care, that you're helping a boy. And I think that's what service is. You don't think, you know that you have to react. You know that you have to do this. It's your calling. It's for you to respond.
Oh, that's a beautiful example that you gave, a story that you gave us. Yeah. And coming back, if you want to share with us, coming back to your experience as a mother, what was the thing that really maybe a difficult one and that easy one when you were raising your children?
It's definitely been the most difficult thing I've faced in my life. I was going to help someone and give them a kidney. I've never met them before. That was easier. Not that I did it, but that was an easier decision to make. You want a kidney? Sure, I've got 2 of them. Raising a child, oh man, it's like you have to deal with someone else's emotions. You have to regulate their emotional clock, and I can't even regulate mine. So I'm still struggling, and I feel that it does. My mom said to me, it gets harder and harder as they get older, because in the beginning, you're just dealing with little temper tantrums. But as it gets older, the difficult part is now you have to let go more, and you have to trust. You have to say, like, right, you're now 16. Oh, your friend wants to see you tonight. It's 9 o'clock. Now you have to let go, because you can't always say no. And it's not right to say no. You have no right to always say no and gel them, even though you want to. So yeah, it's very difficult. I still find it extremely difficult. I still don't know how to do it. I'm still learning.
I'm sure you know.
Oh, I still get it wrong. Yeah, and I'm still working on how to not feel guilty, how to not feel like I'm the worst mother. And I think it doesn't matter how many classes I go to, how many gurus I meet, how many elevations I have, it will always be there, because I'm responsible. I've given life, and I can't just say to life, you go into the world. I'll always be responsible for you. That's how it is. You'll always be responsible. So when moms say to you, and you're in your 40s, and your mom says, like, do you need a jersey? Have you eaten? They'll say to you for the rest of your life. It's just, mothers have this in them. Yeah. And I think when you meet, and not even mothers, I don't know what it is, you can not be a mother and have this in you, because it's almost like waiting, like an egg waiting to be dropped. You can never have children, but you're a natural nurturing. That's what it is. It's a nurturer. And it's very beautiful to meet nurturers, because yeah, maybe they're also lacking nurturing. I don't know. When we give something the most, and when we give something so beautifully and so completely, maybe it's because that's how we wish we would receive it. That's how I'm open. I can give you all this love because I would love to receive all this love. So maybe that's why we're so good at it, because we also would like it. We also would like, the doors are open, come on in. bring in those loves and hugs. But I think sometimes it's difficult for us to receive, and even when it's being given to us, we still block it off. No. And we need to allow ourselves that. I think it comes from fear. I'm scared if I receive too much, you'll go like, oh, now I've got to continue giving you so much.
Or maybe we don't receive because we think we are not worthy of receiving. We don't deserve it. I think, at least for me, it has been difficult to receive sometimes, because I feel like, do I really deserve it? Am I really worthy of what I'm receiving? It could be love, it could be compliment, it could be, money, it could be anything. And for me, at least, my personal experience is that, every time it happened with compliment, it started with compliments that I was feeling I was feeling discomfort to receive compliment, and I started looking at, why do I feel that discomfort? And I think, for me, it's because of this belief that I'm not worthy of receiving. And then when I worked with that belief, actually, little by little, I've started opening myself to actually I can receive. I'm okay with, like, I can, okay, that's fine. Let's sit and receive in this word and be open to receive it, and let's land them in my heart is good. You know, I am what they're telling. I am worthy of receiving. And it could be really for so many different reasons. But yes, I think for women, it's very easy to give and to overgive, women and mothers, and even for men, I think for everyone, but particularly I think mothers have this kind of quality of overgiving. And I can see, you know, my grandmother, my mothers, all Italian mothers, you know, have this quality. And we have difficulties on receiving, you know, I have difficulties to, even with my grandma, I like offer her, just stay here, rest, don't do much, we're gonna take care of you, but she can't do that.
Wake up to the smell of a beautiful Italian breakfast at like 6 a.m. But I think it's a human characteristic. We are so human, you know, we're so emotional and so attached to like how we feel things, that I don't think we've realized our beautiful potential, you know, beyond the mind. I think often we have to go beyond the mind, and we have to go to this place, and this place sits in this beautiful little spot on us. And if we go there, it's like our happy place. It's our place that when we go shopping, we always have to return. And I think in this society, we don't have enough time, or we don't have enough opportunities to return to ourselves, to reflect on things, to really look at ourselves and go deeper. I think schooling, even, you know, we go to school for how many years? 9 years or 7 years, and you're told to shut up.
Long time. Sit.
Yes.
Shut up. And just
work it out, but don't talk.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's almost like you have to be in a straitjacket, but you just have to like move your head. You know, you have to be quiet, but you've got to work it out. And that's not how we learn things. We learn things by like sniffing it and breaking it open and touching it. That's how I learn. I can't learn by being shut up, sit down, be quiet. That's why I struggled in school, because it's not the way we should learn. And if we want to deal with healthy emotions, we should be, our parents before us and their parents should know, but they didn't. And maybe we need to turn it around now, that when we have an emotional breakdown, we need to know that it's okay to do that. But it's also not okay to continue to do that, that there's a way that we can navigate it. You know, there is a way to, I don't think enough of us actually know how to manage our emotions. We just react. We don't respond. Such an elegant word, respond. We respond to things. I'm the number one, you know, I just go. Sometimes I'm like, oh, looks cool.
And coming back to your postpartum, or after your birth, how was for you? Like, did you receive support? Were you able to receive? Or because you share with me, or you shared before that you were a single mom, you know, for part of your life, and how was for you to, you know, to be by yourself with your children, or maybe you were not by yourself, you were surrounded by support? And how is in your culture to, you know, how in your culture you deal or you manage your postpartum after birth? Because I know that for many families, women, fathers, men, mothers, is so different after birth. Everyone, I think, integrate the experience in a different way. So what was for you?
I think the first night I brought her home, I kept having images of dropping her, which is weird, you know, because all of a sudden you got this little shape in your arms and you're like, oh my God, I'm responsible. And that night I had the worst, I was crying so much. I had the worst nightmares. And an ex-boyfriend phoned me that night. He didn't even know I gave birth. And I remember telling him my dream. I dreamt that I was running down these stairs and looking for her. And that's when I realized I just broke down. I said, for the rest of her life, I've got to look after her. But after that, I was blessed. I don't know how I got it right, but I didn't take her out for like 30 days. And it was the most beautiful time. It was just me and her, you know, it was just cleaning poop nappies and breastfeeding. But it was just so lovely. You know, I love the silence. I love the breathing, like that things aren't hectic and everywhere. And I really valued that time. And I was lucky to stay home with her for about 2 years. Yeah, I don't know what I did. I think I taught English to Chinese students, and I did whatever I could just to stay home with her. My partner, her father at the time, he would visit. He lived in a different city, so he would visit for a few days and then go. It wasn't much, you know. I think it does get left to the mom because you are the milk on tap, and you are the, you know. But postpartum was lovely, was gentle and landing. But then, of course, the fears do come in, you know, like, what's your future going to look like? You know, are you going to always, like, now you're an adult, you know, now you've got to get it right. So society does put this heaviness on us. You know, what are you going to do now to look after her? Are you qualified? Can you find a career? And how are you going to manage a child so my mom was around. She lived here in the main house. She helped me as best she can. But I grew up in a family that my dad didn't like a lot of people. He's quite a hermit. So we've never had lots of people in our lives. And I think I really missed that. And my children now also miss that, having a big family and uncle and aunties are here. So we've never had that. We've always been very alone and quiet in that. But I wish I could change that with my children. And all of a sudden we've got 4 children, yeah, and 3 adults. So I think it's changing.
Yeah. Wow, this story really, I could hear you more. Give us more. I could hear your voice for other like 3-4 hours. I really love how you tell your story. I can really feel, you know, like, I can picture you as mother, and so gentle and kind. This is what I'm really receiving from you, and it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
At the same time, I can lose my shit.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, you were talking about fears, you know, and I guess in your motherhood journey, in every motherhood journey, you lose your shit and you're scared or you're anxious. And as a mother, what's your, like, what do you do when these things happen, when these moments happen?
I go to my room and I ask them to leave me alone for a few minutes because I need to calm down. I need to cool down, and I need to just get my bearings, you know, because I know if I just react to them, I'm going to shout and it's going to be horrible. Because, you know, when someone shouts at you, like, you don't listen to them because you're like, what the hell, you know? So I've learned, don't shout because they're not going to hear you. And the louder you shout, the more they're not going to hear you. I go to my room and I either cry. I'm a very emotional person. For me, crying is the most healing thing that I can give myself. When I cry, I get perspective on things. I know it sounds weird. I get perspective. It cleanses me completely. Crying is my superpower. And I won't just sit in a shop and start bawling, but it's my thing. Yeah, it's definitely my thing. I can cry to cartoons.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know if you agree with this, but I think many people, I would say especially men, but even women, like everyone, we hide tears very easily, and we tend to suppress and not show our emotions. And then, you know, when you suppress many times, then, you know, you can create a kind of bomb that will explode and will create many, problems and difficulties when you have so much to hold on. And that's why also women have postpartum depression, because they suppress, they don't talk, it really depends on many things, beliefs, the story, how they lived the pregnancy, the birth. But I feel what I see as a midwife is that women have difficulties postpartum because they don't have a community around, and also because it's not a society where it's really welcome to talk about emotions or talk about how you feel. Either we bypass, or we say, oh, that's fine, it's gonna be fine, it's normal. So I think this what happens quite often. So I think the medicine that you're sharing, your medicine that you're sharing with us about crying and be vulnerable, it's, even though not many people might feel discomfort to hear this, because it's not something that we normally do, but this is what we should do actually. So just releasing and just feeling the emotions, because you say that when you feel it, you see things clearly, and it's such powerful, what you're sharing.
And what you say about community is so true. Like, I wish I had a community. I wish I had, everyone, pregnancy, having a child builds you the pregnancy stage. And then when you give birth, like, you're not prepared for that. I felt that I was completely alone. I didn't know how to put my child to sleep. My boobs were rock hard. I felt completely, this is my own journey here. I didn't feel the support at all. I didn't have the community. And society, once again, has done that. Give birth in a cold hospital, don't see your child. I was like, no ways, dude. Like, that baby is going to be stuck right on me. So my second child was born at home, which was weird for me, because the midwife kept telling me to sit on the bed. I was like, no, it felt weird to have a baby on the bed. I just kept wanting to go down on the floor.
Good that you followed your intuitions and instincts. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we do. Like, having a midwife compared to having a doctor was just, thank goodness I was able to have the same midwife twice in a row. And good. I'm so grateful. Yeah, it's experience that you just, I don't want my child to be separated. Even the First Nations people, I heard a story about a woman riding a horse, stop the horse, give birth, jump back on the horse and go. Not in a cold hospital and something like that. So I'm sorry for the women that don't have a choice.
Or they don't know, because I feel like, there are good and bads. We know so many things. We've done certain research, and we know actually what is good for a woman when she gives birth. And yet we don't follow it. We are stuck with the same way of giving birth, which is controlling, or interfering, or telling a woman what to do when she gives birth. And we know many other things that actually can help her to give birth and having a really good experience, like you were saying, at home, or and birthing how your body wants to birth. So I think we need probably more information. We need to make information, circulate maybe more in a different way. And coming back to ourselves, to here inside us, and not trusting more what's outside us.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything else that you feel like you want to share here with us, about your story or about anything that you learned? Yeah, I actually would like to ask you, is there anything that, I'm sure many things that you learned in your journey as a mother, that you want to share with us here that you think is really important?
So many things that I'm still learning. That your children come with their own affinity. They come with their own karma, their own journey. And as much as you want to do your best and say, I don't believe in that system, I'm not going to put my child in it. One day they might turn around and say, like, why did you do that? You know, I actually needed that system. But you really did believe you were doing the right thing. And I don't think you should be slaughtered for that. I think you have to make peace with that, because you led your child on your path, which is the right thing. And at some point, they'll make a decision and they'll go on their own path with what you've given them. And if it wasn't the right path with them, it's okay, but it was your path and you gave what you could. So I think we have to make peace with that. I'm at a stage right now where I've realized, like, what I've been doing has been wrong. It hasn't been right for my children. And it's been slowly building. It's something that happens over a long period of time. And then one day, wow, all of a sudden you see it. And from the males in my life, I'm like being, oh, you shouldn't have done that and this. And you know what? I can crawl up into a fetal position and cry and go, oh, I'm such a bad mother, you know, like I've messed up. But I've chosen not to do that because I've done the best. And my children they're going to move on to their own path. And I have to have peace with that. I have to have peace with what I've done. I'm not going to feel guilty. Like, I'm already a mother, that's enough. So I'm not going to still feel guilty about the decisions that I think is the best. I think that's my biggest thing right now.
Wow, thank you. You know, I'm doing a master on, well, a professional training called compassionate inquiry about trauma. We look at trauma, and my mentor and Gabor Mate always says, you know, because we look at childhood as well and where trauma develops, that could be inside the womb, you know, during birth, after birth, during childhood, any time of your life. And he always says what you are saying, not feeling guilty, you know, because you are trying your best when you raise your children. And you know, every parent, every mother, every father love their children. It's impossible that you don't love your children, you know, but you're also on your journey. So, and you're doing your best to be with your children, to offer your children, you know, a future, a life. And so it's really important, you know, that when you are aware that maybe you did something wrong in your journey, not to feel guilty, to say, okay, I'm aware now, I have an opportunity to change it. And my children have always an opportunity for their life to change and to, you know, become aware of who they are. And I feel like it's so important, rather than falling into the guilt, and be there and that's all, and this is what you see, but actually what you can see is an opportunity to grow.
Yeah. And not just that, I think even if the child has now learned something that is your path, not theirs, and one day they turn around and say, why, you know, now this, but that was also meant for them. That was also part of their journey. Learn something else, to give them the other view and to help them motivate themselves to get on the path that is their path. So even that was part of their journey. So no guilt. Everything is exactly perfect as it should be, or as it's meant to flow.
Yeah. And definitely there is also
no more guilt.
no more guilt.
No more guilt.
I think everything is a lesson, and it's so interesting. I feel that it's so interesting, this relationship, this parenting, parents and children, and it's so interesting that everyone has a different way to relate. Everyone has a different journey. Everyone has a different lesson, and I feel really grateful that I'm here, and you can share this with us, and I can listen to your story. So thank you.
My pleasure. I'd like to share one more thing.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, is there anything else that you want to share, please?
So in the philosophy that I've studied, the Eastern philosophy, there was a part that we studied about how a soul chooses its parents. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful, because even if you're showing your child your path, it's their affinity to meet you, to be the child to you. So it explained it that there's a radio frequency in this universe, like a frequency. And when the mother and father connect together, they send out this frequency, and the soul connects with it. So whatever soul is on the same vibration. So if the soul's on a different vibe, then it's just not going to connect. But if the soul's on the same vibration, then this will become your child. And this child, this soul already has its own destiny. They've lived their own lives and everything. So when they join with you, like even I said, I mentioned that I had to be the mother a few times, or in situations, but even that was part of my service to others. Because of that, because of the life I've had, it's shown me that I need to do things for myself. I need to know how to do certain things so that I can do it for others, because it's part of my calling. So even when we feel like we've been cheated, or like, why am I born to this? My daughter even joked the other day and said, I'm sure I'm adopted. Oh my God. That was so funny. I was like, okay.
Yeah, definitely. There is, I know many couples that prepare for these moments, pre-conception, or pre-pregnancy, where they get ready to become kind of a vessel, a channel for this soul to come and to be created in the womb, and then be born. And
the Chinese won't, if you're pregnant, you don't watch any horror movies, you don't put anything into, you don't lift your hand. There's certain things you're very careful what you listen to, hear, who you speak to, because the soul's absorbing all of this.
Yeah.
And
I once I was in London, and I once assisted to a lady who gave birth at home. She was Chinese, and I remembered sorry, we had to basically go out the room to get some stuff. We had our bags outside the room, and I had to go out and in, or I had to go to the toilet, something like that, but I had to exit the room for 5 minutes and come back. And there was the couple inside the room with the mother of the woman who was giving birth, me and my colleague assisting, and that's all. And I remember the mother, she didn't want to for us to go out. She wanted the doors closed, the windows closed, because she was telling us that according to culture, they don't open windows or doors during birth or after birth to just protect the environment. And it was the first time that I was hearing that, other cultures have other traditions and customs, and I was really happy to learn that. So now you're telling me, yeah, I know that, for example, in South America, even pregnant women don't do certain things, because even in South America and certain culture, they believe, for example, in birth, that the mother leave the body to to go and actually collect the baby soul and bring it to the body. So there are certain practices that you don't do it in pregnancy, during birth, to protect the mother, to protect the environment, to protect where you live. So it's really fascinating. It's really fascinating to me. And
yeah, because we feel that when the soul is, so first of all, did you know, have you ever thought about this? What grows first of the little egg, right? The egg that's the first part that grows. So the first part is the door where the soul enters in. And from there, the brain, the head, the body. So that little door is the first part that grows. So we believe that when the soul, as soon as a baby's born, the lungs are closed. So you hit it, or some don't. As soon as it breathes, the lungs can start moving again. So the whole soul is not completely there. Part of the soul has been, as soon as they breathe, that soul, the rest of the soul comes in. And I think that's why they keep everything closed, because you don't want any other goodies to come in, because the soul is to complete still. That's why even death, some cultures, they'll bury you that day. And we're like, no ways, you don't do that, because your soul hasn't completely left yet. You need a few days for the soul to leave. You can't, bury straight away. That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah. Is there anything, just to finish, is there anything that any specific tradition in your culture, in your customs, in your tradition, that you do or you don't do during birth or after birth?
While you're pregnant, definitely the first trimester, you don't hang washing, you don't pick up anything from a high place. That's quite bad. There's also a beautiful soup that you make from herbs that you give the woman. I know in the Western society, certain oils, aromatherapy oils, you don't use. So simple things like that. But definitely there's a soup that we get made that nourishes our body, and that I'd love to be pregnant again. I thought about it the other day. That beautiful belly, the feeling of movement. I'd love to be, but I've had my time.
Thank you. Thank you again for sharing your story, to, being part of this, and to share with us your difficulties, your joys, good and bad. Well, there is no good and bad. Everything is perfect. But to share with us your real, authentic you, and be vulnerable. It takes courage. Thank you for this.
Thank you very much, Lara.